Are you struggling with completing projects on time? Are you tired of not reaching your business goals and objectives as a business? This occurs when you don't have the efficient systems in place to track, monitor, and plan how your projects are doing. When this happens, you're more likely to cause delays in completing your tasks, which can stunt your business growth. Hello, everyone. My name is Sami from ERP Hub, and in today's webinar, I'll provide an overview of project management principles and discuss the necessary steps to ensure project success. Participants in this webinar will gain valuable insight into project management and gain the skills and knowledge to become effective project managers. Most entrepreneurs fail to grow their business because of broken and old systems. Most small businesses have broken systems, causing them to slow down their business growth. When you don't have the efficient systems in place, this can lead to a customer base that doesn't grow, numbers that don't look right, unhappy customers, and unproductive employees. You've put too much time and effort to not see the results that you deserve. At ERP Hub, we've created a framework that helps small business owners simplify and automate their processes using business systems so that they can grow their business. We provide access to informational tools, a variety of basic ERP software packages, and the option to choose a completely customized ERP solution for your business. We'll equip you with the multifunctional tools to improve your entire business, letting you run every department from the same centralized system to increase efficiencies, boost productivity, and reduce cost. Our solutions give you greater insight and visibility, making your operations run smoother and more productive. Now, what is project management and why is it important? Project management is the process of leading employees to complete a project and fulfill its goals. Project managers often help a team accomplish their primary duties for a project and resolve any difficult challenges or issues that arise. This also helps with planning the project, creating goals that meet client or company requirements, and ensuring that the team delivers the final product by the scheduled deadline. Project managers can work in a variety of industries such as IT and construction. They often have experience in business management or development and technical skills relating to their chosen industry or field. Why is project management important is an interesting question that is asked by many clients. It's often thought to be an unnecessary burden on the budget, and there's no doubt that it can be expensive. Many business owners wonder if they really need a project management software because on paper it looks like an unnecessary tax and overhead, as project managers don't really deliver anything and often get in the way of what the team wants to do. Great project management entails much more than ensuring that the project is delivered on time, within budget, and under the project scope. It also involves bringing clients and teams together, establishing a vision for the project's success, and getting everyone on the same page regarding the necessary steps to maintain that project's success. When projects are run well, the benefits extend far beyond the actual delivery. Without a proper plan on executing your strategic goals, you'll see expectations are reduced. Failure to meet expectations will reduce the happiness of the stakeholders, and you'll get frustrated business owners as well. You'll also have poor customer experience, which can lead to a loss of credibility for your business. And the last thing is that you won't be able to adapt to the adding requirements in your scope, which is known as scope creep. The project management process consists of 5 different steps: initiation, planning, execution, monitoring, and controlling. Now, the project initiation stage is where you turn your ideas into your goals. This is where you'll develop a business case and define your project on a deeper level. It's also where you'll have your project charter, where you'll create constraints, goals, budgets, and timeline. And it's important to note that there's no technical work at this stage. Now, let's take for an example an automobile manufacturer that's assigned to develop an electric vehicle. The selection of the design, capacity, and battery power of the vehicle will not be part of this initiation phase. The only certainty at this initiation phase would be that an electric vehicle will be developed within the given time frame and budget. The next phase is the planning stage, which requires complete diligence as it lays out your project's roadmap. Unless you're using a modern project management methodology like Agile, the second phase of project management is expected to take almost half of the entire project timeline. The primary tasks are identifying technical requirements, developing a detailed project schedule, creating a communication plan, and setting up goals and deliverables. There are several methods of setting up your project's goals, but SMART goals is the most commonly used. The SMART criteria ensures that your goals you set for your project are critically analyzed. It is an established method that reduces your risk and allows project managers to make clearly defined and achievable goals. The SMART acronyms it stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. During the planning stage, the scope of the project is defined, and there's a possibility of your project scope changing over time, and that depends on the approval of the project manager. Project managers are also required to develop a work breakdown structure which clearly visualizes and establishes the entire project in different sections for the team. A detailed project timeline with each deliverable is another important element of the planning stage. Project managers can develop a communication plan and a schedule of communication with relevant stakeholders. An important element that professionals often overlook is an effective change management plan. As a project manager, you must be ready to incorporate a few changes in your project to avoid bottlenecks and causing project delays. In the absence of working a change management plan, scope creep happens and causes huge problems for your project team in the later stages of your project. So it's best to reduce the probability of changes by clearly defining your goals from the start. The next stage in the project process is the execution stage, and this is where your team does the actual work. As a project manager, your job is to establish efficient workflows and carefully monitor the progress of your team. Another responsibility of the project manager during this phase is to maintain effective collaboration between your stakeholders and your team members. This ensures that everyone is staying on top of what they need to do and the project runs smoothly without any issues. You can get help from project management tools like Zoho Projects, Asana, or Jira that are available in the market. That will not only make your life easier, but also improve the efficiency and the productivity of your team. The next stage is the monitoring and controlling phase, and this runs simultaneously with the execution phase of your project. This ensures that all of your project deliverables and objectives are met whenever you had decided to meet that deadline. As a project manager, you can make sure that no one deviates from the original plan by developing key performance indicators during the beginning stages of your project. During the monitoring phase of the project management, the manager is also responsible for quantitatively tracking the effort and cost during the entire process. This tracking is not only ensures that the project remains within the budget, but it also is used to improve processes for future projects. And the last stage of the project process is the closing stage. The project closure stage indicates the end of the project after the final delivery. Most teams hold a reflection meeting after the completion of the product in order to assess their accomplishments and failures during the project. This is an effective method to ensure continuous improvement within the company to enhance the overall productivity of the team in the future. The final task of this phase is to review the entire project and complete a detailed report that covers every aspect. All of the necessary data should be stored in a secure, centralized place that can be accessed by project managers if they need to access it for future projects. Next, we'll be talking about a few different project management methodologies and in which different cases that they'll be applied for. The first methodology that we'll be discussing is waterfall, which is a linear and standard approach. It's straightforward, and it's commonly the most traditional approach that is used. The waterfall methodology is the process in which the phases of the project flow downward. The waterfall model requires that you move from one project phase to the next until you complete your project. The waterfall approach is great for manufacturing and construction projects, which are highly structured and when it's too expensive to pivot or change anything after the fact. The waterfall method makes you use Gantt charts for planning and scheduling as well. This methodology is the Agile project management, which is an evolving and collaborative way to self-organize across teams. When implementing this methodology, project planning and work management are adaptive, evolutionary in development, seeking early delivery, and are always open to changes if that leads to process improvement. It's fast and flexible, unlike waterfall development, and the Agile methodology offers project teams a variety of dynamic ways to work and collaborate, and that's why it's very popular for project management revolving product and software development. This practice originates in software development and works well within that culture. It's also been applied to non-software products as well that seek to drive forward innovation where there's high level of uncertainty, such as computers, motor vehicles, medical devices, clothing, and much more. And it's also used in other types of projects that need a more responsive or a fast-paced production schedule, such as marketing. The next methodology that we're going to be talking about is Scrum, which is a short sprint approach used to manage projects. This Scrum methodology is ideal for teams of no more than 10 people and is often designed in 2-week cycles with short daily meetings, known as daily Scrum meetings. It's led by what's called a Scrum Master, and the Scrum works within the Agile project management framework. There's been many attempts to scale Scrum to fit larger organizations. Similar to the Agile methodology, the Scrum methodology has been used predominantly in software development, but prominently it's applicable across any industry or business, including retail logistics, event planning, or any project that requires some sort of flexibility. And the last methodology is the Lean Six Sigma, and this describes a system that finds ways to cut waste and increase value in projects and manufacturing processes. So Lean focuses on eliminating all the waste from your key processes to continuously impact your project management process in a positive way. It does this by optimizing separate technologies, assets, and verticals. And today, software development teams run Lean processes to focus on end user feedback and increase the overall value of your business. Lean project management was first developed by Toyota and is obviously a great methodology for manufacturing. It's been adopted by construction companies and education industries as well, along with software development firms looking to drive products focused on the end user. Next, we'll be discussing some project management software tools that can be used to enhance your business. The first common tool that is used for project management is Asana, and it's used for extensibility. Asana is the work management platform started by former Facebook developers in 2008. The Silicon Valley-based company has grown dramatically in that time, and the platform's extensibility affirms why so many businesses choose from it. With Asana, you have tools that help you with various workloads. You can add strategic goals and even set user security policies. And they also offer a wide range of functionalities. However, it isn't fully intuitive. The next software is Jira, and it supports the Agile methodology, from Agile boards, roadmaps, reports, to integrations and add-ons. You can plan, track, and manage all of your Agile software development projects from a single tool. It's easy to use as well. However, it's important to recognize that it only has general project management functionalities with really no depth at all. And the last one that we're going to be talking about is Zoho Projects. This is the application that we use at ERP Hub. Zoho Projects offers teams a stack of features for tracking tasks, issues, time, and resources to maximize collaboration and productivity. Users can visualize and adjust project data through different types of views. Zoho Projects offers a lot of functionalities, considering it's the most affordable project management software as well. And this is best used when you have multiple projects that you need to manage at the same time. With Zoho Projects, you're able to create and assign tasks to your team members, and you can add the interdependencies to tasks that require a task to be completed before you move on to the following task. There's also different ways you can view your task in a centrally organized way without having to go back and forth between various different applications, saving you a lot of time and effort. And with the dashboard KPIs and automated reports, you're able to identify where you stand on projects and find areas improvements for your future projects. Next, we're going to be talking about the 7 reasons why most projects fail. Now, all of us have gone through it. A project initially causes you to become very excited on the initial stages. You're excited to get the ball rolling. You conduct your research, create a detailed plan, put together a strong team, and you're ready to get to work. However, as you go on, everything starts to abruptly come apart. You miss your deadlines, the results don't meet your expectations, and to put it plainly, your customers and stakeholders are unhappy because you're not succeeding like you're supposed to. The pain of a failed project has been felt by the majority of project managers. According to a poll done by Project Management Institute, 12% of the projects in their firm were considered failures. Project failure is personalized and can be defined differently for various different types of organizations. While a project is considered a failure for one organization, it may not be considered a failure for another. A project may be labeled a failure for the reasons listed. The project may fail to achieve its goal. You didn't deliver the deliverable. And lastly, the work wasn't finished on the scheduled time. Now, the first reason why projects fail is unclear objectives. Project objectives are the things you hope to accomplish by the project's conclusion. They must be precise, measurable objectives that you can evaluate once your project is complete. Without defined objectives, it's difficult to keep your team on the same page or even determine whether your project is going to be successful or unsuccessful. Effective project managers define objectives to unify your team and give you a point to compare where your projects are at different stages to gauge your progress. You have to set your goals before you start on your project so that you can that can serve as a guide. Even better, involve your team in the goal setting process to make sure that everyone is on the same page and you understand the broader project plan. This also involves communicating with your stakeholders to identify your deliverables, come up with a timetable, and an overall smart approach to attacking your project plan. The next reason why projects fail is scope creep, and scope creep is requirements that are added to your project scope once it's already been defined in the initial stages. Your project deliverables change as the work progresses. Scope creep is difficult to detect because it frequently develops gradually. You could even say that it sneaks up on you. You wind up with more work than you anticipated at the start when project deliverables go beyond the project scope. Delivering outcomes on time and within budget is simpler when project objectives are defined in advance. Resourcing might be planned in advance to prevent last-minute requests from overwhelming your team. It's also important to share your scope statement with your stakeholders as soon as it's finished. Project managers will be less inclined to add additional requirements if they know exactly what is expected in the project from the start. When you do receive an additional request, you can structure and utilize a change control procedure to decide whether it's crucial enough to include in your project scope. So whenever a change is added or a requirement is added onto your project scope, you'll be ready to follow through with your change management policies. The next reason why projects fail is limited resource planning. People, money, and materials are referred to as resources in project management, and without the sufficient resources planning for project management, what are you going to do? Your human resources are probably going to either be underworked or overworked if you're not employing a good task management solution. You won't realize what some team members are doing, whether they're doing their task on time or they're doing what they're expected to be doing. A resource management plan outlines the types and quantities of resources you'll need for your project so that you'll be fully equipped before you begin. Next, determine the precise timing for allocating each of your resources using the best practices for resource allocation. Another crucial component for resource planning is financial planning. Poor cost estimates and inconsistent tracking will probably cause projects to go beyond their initial budget, and project managers who lack financial management and tracking skills are more likely to cause the project to fail. The next reason why projects tend to fail is inexperienced project managers. Many businesses don't take project management too seriously and believe that anyone can run a project, and unfortunately, that's not the case. Due to this careless approach, numerous assistants or consultants end up serving as unintentional project managers without any formal training, and that can be a huge problem. Even though they might excel in their field, if they lack project management skills, this could be a major factor in the failure of your project. An effective project manager is conscious of their team's potentials and what they're capable of doing. He is also capable of considering all of the details before finalizing on an agreement, and if necessary, you approve or decline whatever the scope of the project is. A key project management strategy involves managing reasonable expectations in your team's well-being. The sixth reason why most projects fail is unrealistic expectations. When it comes to project management, unreasonable aims and objectives can lead to projects failing. Unrealistic expectations, which are sometimes covered as optimism, have led to the failure of numerous enterprises. Project managers get into this predicament when they don't effectively assess each team's members' talents, skills, and competencies, and employees are overworked as a result. And this can lead to challenges, including delays and bottlenecks. You ought to be aware of the capabilities of your teams and know the time constraints that are in place for your team. So when it comes time, you're delivering your expectations on time and you're setting your SMART goals in the correct way. And the last reason why projects fail is that they may not be giving enough attention to monitoring and controlling their projects. You should have a process in place to track, review, and regulate the progress of your projects. Every effort on your project should be taken to keep track, and if it steers off the course of what you're headed towards, it's important that you align yourself back to your schedule and ensure that the project is delivered on time. And without monitoring and controlling, that unfortunately cannot be done. By including this practice in all of your projects, you'll identify areas of improvement that you can implement on your upcoming projects. Thorough and ongoing monitoring is essential for project success and should be a process for every business. Next, we'll be discussing managing human resources. When it comes to a project's organization, both project management and resource management are fundamental steps as they are designed to maintain sustainability and profitability. While a resource manager ensures every project requirement is settled during the initiation phase, and a project manager later manages those resources and delivers the project within the stipulated time and budget. In that sense, resource managers are in charge of planning, organizing, managing, and measuring people's work. Their main duty is to plan, allocate, and schedule the company's resources effectively to maximize each resource. Employees are essential as they are responsible for the tasks that will ease the development of your project. They can be recruited either internally or externally and can work on the entire process on an ad hoc basis. Because employees have the knowledge and the know-how, it is crucial that you, the resource manager, makes a thorough and well thought out selection of the team to ensure that they are suitable and skilled enough to complete your project. Moving forward, I'm going to be talking about some things that you should be considering when you're managing your employees. Your team is one of the most important resources within a project, as well as one of the most challenging resources for managers to handle. While resources may vary from different types of scales on your project, these are the top tips that you need to consider when building a productive project team. First, you need to know which skills you need for your project. Knowing which individuals you need for your project will facilitate your resource planning from the get-go. It's crucial to think carefully about what kind of tasks your project requires and what skills are necessary for the completion of your project. Next, lead and organize your team. Make sure everyone knows the objectives that are required in your system plan, their responsibility in the project, and their roles as well. Then you will have to capture that on the detailed schedule, where every person will have a duty and a time allocated to get their part done efficiently in a timely manner. Next, encourage team members to participate. Don't forget that your team brings the knowledge and the know-how. It's highly beneficial that your team members get involved in the project planning and decision-making, as it adds to the expertise in the process and strengthens their commitment to the project overall. Next, using a project management tool. In my experience, these tools can help you easily keep an eye on everyone's workload and progress. A project management tool will immediately show you that there's an imbalance on the way things are done, and you can quickly put a resolve to those issues if that is the case. Next, providing feedback. The interaction between you and your team is fundamental. Whether you're succeeding or failing in completing your task on time, they need you to be there to give them advice, resolve issues if necessary, and offer them team support. Working together will certainly optimize the project's performance. All in all, every resource is important to building a project to life and pushing it forward to the next level, so it allows your business to grow and you can lead your industry. Managing these resources properly will give you a complete control over the process and will help you facilitate and accelerate your work. The benefits of measuring your project performance include detecting areas of improvement. So if you have project performance, ways to measure your project performance with different KPIs, you'll be able to detect areas of improvement, find the areas where you're most weak, and use that to improve overall. So next time when you're working on your projects, you can efficiently work on your projects differently using the knowledge that you learned from your last projects to improve your overall process. Next, by improving your overall project process, you can improve the way your decisions are being made, and that can overall just help with the decision-making aspect of your business and making sure that you are making the best decisions in a quick manner. And lastly, celebrating your accomplishments. It's okay to celebrate your accomplishments from time and time again, because at the end of the day, you want a sense of fulfillment for your employees and your team members, making sure that they are satisfied and ensuring that they are happy working and completing whatever they need to complete. The key KPIs in project management. What is a KPI? A KPI is a key performance indicator, and those key performance indicators are used to measure how you're doing as a business on your projects. So there's different types of KPIs that businesses use in project management, and once you've submitted the final product of your project to your client, you need to evaluate the organization and collaboration of your team, which refers to measuring your project performance. There are multiple metrics that you can help to determine how your projects are managed and what practices you can incorporate in your next endeavors. So the first one is cost performance index, and what that is it measures financial management efficiency in your project. If your CPI value is under 1, that means the project is underperformed, and the performance in your CPI, if it's equal to 0, that means you are right on the budget of your time. That means you're doing it exactly how it was scheduled. If your CPI is greater than 1, that means your performance is better than you had planned. And of course, if your CPI is under 1, that means that you didn't plan out your project correctly and that you are going over budget on your time. The next KPI that is key is budget cost variance. Budget cost variance indicates if the estimated project cost is below or above the baseline as planned. It's used to track your expenses within project activities, helping the manager decide how best to allocate the remaining resources for optimal performance. Now, if your budget variance is negative, that means you're using more money that you had planned. If your budget variance is positive, that means you're falling below your planned budget, and that means that you're not using all the resources that you had planned from the get-go. Actual cost of work performed is a metric used to track the amount spent on your project since it began as you're going through the various stages of your project process. Resource utilization capacity is a percentage metric that indicates the actual use of human resources compared to the potential capacity. This is a breakdown and analysis of a team member's available hours and how much time they spend on each project. It is also known as the billable utilization rate. The next metric in project management is projects completed on time, and this is simply the amount of projects that you've completed on time. And this is a benchmark for many companies that are focusing on this metric. It's good to have a benchmark of about 80% of projects being completed in a quarter. If you're struggling with completing your projects on time, that means you're not planning your resource allocation correctly, and you need to spend more time planning your projects. The next KPI is the planned hours versus time spent, which accounts the difference between the scheduled duration and the actual execution time. The project manager can track every employee's progress against the set targets, where a difference greater than 0 appears as good progress, while a difference that is negative indicates that you are not spending your time well. Time management not only helps to align activities, but also saves organizational resources that you can use for other projects, other tasks. Activities should be completed without a delay for a project to meet its deadlines. If the actual hours spent exceed the planned time, then it either means that an employee is unproductive or the scheduled time was underestimated. Implementing these 6 KPIs in your company means you can set your goals, construct a strategy, evaluate your performance along the way, which overall will help you in your project process, and you can complete your projects on time and making sure that you are completing those projects to overall grow as a business. What PM methodology should we use for large projects and for small projects? So for large projects, I would probably say it actually depends on what type of project it is. If it's a large project that involves software development, I would recommend Agile because there's a lot of times where you're adding different requirements and there is scope creep. So when you're talking about larger projects that involve software development, the Agile methodology is the best one to use because you're jumping from various steps. You can go back and forth, and it's very flexible in how you do it, as compared to the waterfall where you need to complete one step before you complete the next. Would you say a big project requires multiple project managers or just one person in authority? Personally, I believe there should be one project manager that everyone reports to, and the project manager is responsible for pretty much just making sure that everybody understands what their tasks are and what types of requirements are expected of them. So when you have multiple project managers, sometimes that can make it difficult to communicate, where you're going to one project manager and they're telling you one thing, and sometimes you can go to another one and they will tell you something different, and that can just cause like a jumble of confusion. If there is a case where you have multiple project managers, I think that the project managers should get together and definitely create like the expectation of what is required for your team members before you go on to manage your team members. Would we choose Agile or Scrum? Well, Agile and Scrum, like I said in the presentation, they go hand to hand, and they're kind of similar. But for our process, Agile methodology would be the best. What is the most important stage in the software development lifecycle? Well, as I said in the webinar, the 50% of the time that you're allocating in your project process goes to planning. If you're not planning correctly, then everything will go down in flames later down in the project process. If you're planning correctly, you have everything that you need in your planning section. You'll understand what's required. You'll understand how you're allocating your resources. If there's something that happens, you've created those rules that are already in place. So when that situation comes, you'll be ready and you'll be able to tackle whatever problem you're having. So I definitely think that the planning stage is the most important. Should we use Agile methodology when we have a recurring project? That's a good question. When you have a recurring project, Agile methodology can be useful, but have a recurring project, it really depends on what's required for you in that project. If you're going through like the same process that you were going through before, then Agile methodology would probably be the best because you can go back and forth between the various steps and like add different things that you want to. In your opinion, what is a skill every project manager should possess? The most important project manager skill is the ability to, it's in my opinion, is the ability to assess your project members and what they're capable of doing, and understanding their personalities and how they react to different situations. So you'll know what your expectations for your team are already established, and you already know what you're dealing with. And that just makes it easier to communicate down the line if there's any problems. If you're not communicating with your team members, then there's no like alignment in your project process. And the most important thing is making sure that we are making our customers happy. And if your employees are not happy, your customers will not be happy. And the most important thing is making sure that your project manager understands what your capabilities are as a team member, so you'll understand on like a larger standpoint of how things stand. Thank you guys for taking the time out of your day to attend this webinar.